Hi guys, in this video I wanted to make a Christmas reindeer face cake. We're going to use a fruit cake for this one, but you don't have to. This one's going to be one of a series of Christmas ones that I'm doing this year, all fairly short, easy ones. And we're going to start by icing our cake board. So it's up to you how big you want the cake board. As long as it's bigger than the dome cake that we're going to put on it, then we're okay. This one I want to say was about a 10-inch board. So I've iced it just in some pale lilac fondant. I'll put links in the description box below to everything that we've used as well. And let's decorate our board with some cut out pieces of fondant. So when I say fondant, also sugar paste. Sugar paste is the UK name for it. Fondant, I think, is what it's called in the USA. So I've rolled it thin and we've just cut out some little dots and some snowflakes with our plunger cutters, and we've just stuck those on the board. Now for my fruit cake, I'm just going to stick it to a little cake board with a bit of apricot jam. I'm going to cover it in apricot jam. Now it's a dome-shaped fruit cake and it has got a few little holes in where the fruit hasn't quite met the edge of the tin, so we're just going to plug that in with marzipan. Now you don't have to use fruit cake. If you're not a fan of fruit cake, you could just replace this with a sponge cake. So my board is just a little bit big actually, I think, for this marzipan, so I'll swap it to a smaller board. There we go, that's better. So we're going to cover it in marzipan. Just give it a quick smooth over because I don't want too many lumps and bumps showing. We'll cut off all the extra from around the edge. Just make sure that's pushed in nice and neat and tidy around the bottom edges. Now we're going to use teddy bear brown fondant mixed with a little bit of another bit of brown that I had left. You can use pre-coloured fondant or you can colour it yourself. So roll it reasonably thin. And we're just going to press this over the top of the marzipan, give it a quick smooth again, and then we're going to cut off any extra from around the bottom edges. So now I'm going to go with a slightly darker brown. I'm going to roll it fairly thin. And I want a round circle cutter. Now, I'll put links in the description box to the circle cutters that I'm using. And we're going to cut out 2 circles from the bottom of my piece with a small gap in the middle, and we're just going to trim that. This is going to form like the bit that goes above the eyes and down the middle of the nose. So can you see I've rolled my piece bigger than the cake itself so that I've got plenty to kind of play with. And I'm just going to press this down. I haven't used anything to stick it against the other layer with so that I can move it about easily if I need to. But if I just press it lightly with my hands, it should stick it down enough. And then we're going to trim all the extra off from around the edge again. So I'm going to place my cake now on my board. You can stick it on with a little bit of royal icing or edible glue. And let's just take a piece of red fondant and we're going to make a little nose. Now I was going to go oval, but I'm thinking a little heart shape might be quite cute. So we start with an oval and we kind of press it down at the top so it becomes a bean shape. And then I point it at the bottom to make that little heart. If you prefer to use a cutter, that's absolutely fine. And I'm going to use one of my white pens. I'm so in love with these new white pens. I'm so pleased that someone invented a white food colour pen. You can, if you want, just stick the white on in fondant. You don't have to draw it on like me, but I'll put links in the description box below to the white pens as well if you like them as much as me. Okay, so we've got a piece of black fondant. I've kind of rolled it thin at either end. We've cut it in half at a diagonal, and then we're going to place these on for the eyes, kind of curving them so there's an arch in the middle and then flicking the cut edge outwards to the sides. Next, we're going to make a bit of a body, so a very rough oval shape. And we're going to rub the edges down. We're going to press that on our board. We'll do the same with the light brown, but go much thinner and smaller. And we'll place it in the middle of the body and trim off anything that goes beyond the edge of the board. So I'm going to roll both my browns out again. The darker brown a bit thicker, the paler one a bit thinner. And I'm going to use some love heart cutters. I want 2 sizes, one a bit bigger, one a bit smaller. The paler brown, we're going to use the smaller one to cut out with. And let's place them together. So the tops of the hearts are touching and the pointy bits aren't quite touching. Can you see the top of the heart, the rounded bits? We're just going to pinch together to make our ear shapes. And then I'm going to press these onto the head. I think we want it about there. Just the same on the other side. I'm going to roll a couple of little teardrops, push them together, and I'm just going to press them in the middle of the ear so it looks like little tufts of hair. Let's just add a tiny bit of pink dust in the ear. So this is an edible pink dust. Just go lightly with a dry brush. Again, I'll put links in the description box below to what I've used. Put a tiny bit on the cheeks and anywhere else that you fancy a bit of pink going on. Now for our antlers, we're going to go for almost like carrot shapes, little carrot shapes, but I've got a really dark brown. And we're leaning it on the board, curving it kind of upwards, and then we'll do a smaller little teardrop carrot shape that's stuck on the outside edge of each antler. Then we're going to do like a medium-sized one, so the same shape again, and then we'll do it again, a bit smaller. And you're just going to keep adding these to the antlers until you're happy with how many teardrops you've got on there. I think I'm happy with that. Just going to go a little bit paler again, so a bit of white in my brown to make it nice and pale. I'm just going to roll some balls, and I'm just going to press them flat on the head to make our little white spots. Try and do them slightly different sizes. We don't want them all too uniformed. I don't want to fully cover the head, so I'll just keep them near the top, coming slightly down towards the nose just a little bit. Make them smaller as I come down towards the nose. Maybe a couple on kind of the shoulders. I think our reindeer's done, but I'm just going to use a bit of red and green. Now I've got fondant, so I'm having to add a bit of Tylo, so you can use CMC, it does the same thing to it, just to firm it up. If you've got a modelling paste, then ideally a modelling paste would be better for cutting out these holly leaves. Just a plunger cutter that I'm using for this. If you want to make them by hand, it's absolutely fine, but just to make things a little bit quicker, I'm using a cutter. Put quite a few on top of the head there. If they don't stick, just put a little bit of water underneath to hold them in place. And then let's make some flowers. Now I've got the rose calyx cutter, and I'm going to use that to cut out my pieces of red. And I don't even need to cut out full pieces really, just want the odd one for the odd petal. So you can see I can start pushing these together, so I start getting a fuller looking poinsettia on the top. And obviously it doesn't really look like a real poinsettia, but that's fine because it doesn't look like a real reindeer either. So I'm just filling the gap on the top of the head. And if you don't want this bit on, you don't have to put this bit on. You can maybe put some like Christmas bells or something at the ends of the antlers instead. I've got a smaller rose calyx cutter. Again, we'll put it on in 2 layers. So the middle layer will kind of bend up a little bit. And you're just going to keep going, filling these out until you're happy with this. So if you've got an assortment of sizes of these, it's fine, stick them on. Maybe some on the antlers. I'm not sure yet on the antler one. We'll see if I keep it on there or not. So just keep going with your red petals and your holly until you're happy with what it looks like. And I'm just going to finish it off with a little bit of a collar. So we'll go for a red piece just under the head. And then we want a nice yellow ball for the bell. Let's roll a little thin strip to kind of go over the middle of the bell. And you can see I've got my phone in shot because I couldn't remember what a bell looked like. So I've just put like a little kind of dint in with the ball-in tool, and then a little line in with my knife. And then we'll use the rest of the yellow to just put some centres in our flowers. There we go. Our little reindeer's all finished. I think it's quite cute, this one. So it's fairly simple. I think this one's a nice one to give a try for Christmas. It'll look great on the table. And like I say, if you don't want to use fruit cake, you can swap it for a sponge cake instead. So I hope you've enjoyed this Christmas video. Keep an eye out over the next couple of weeks for some more Christmas ones. Similar kind of style, nice and easy, but we're going to do some different animals and some different things as well. Thanks for watching.
If you liked the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment below. You can see more of my tutorials by clicking on the images on screen now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with my future tutorials. There are also links in the description box below where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram and more.